games with me and do it in front of you guys as well, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that also. So hey guy, hey man, hey guy.
Oh man, how you doing, Zach? First of all, thanks so much for the introduction. That's extremely nice of you, and thanks so much for the opportunity. Yeah, what to say, man? Really looking forward to having these kind of matches ahead of us. Really hyped about the incoming setups here that we are going to see. Also the civilizations in the pool, also the map pool that we have. Everything's going to be really nice. In general, Middle East, that we are going to have this kind of setting, something I'm really looking forward to seeing, because yeah, as I said, the combination of civilizations as well as the maps that we have going to be nice. I'm really looking forward to see also what kind of strats each of the players are going to go for in the teams that they are in. And yeah, just really hyped about it. And I gotta say, man, the music that you've been playing here, quite nice, I gotta be honest. And really, you met this guy in person?
Yeah, it was cool. I met him in Gamescom. Was it last year? The year before? I don't even know. Time is lost on me. But yeah, he's heavily involved in making a lot of the music for Age 2, and I think he was even involved in the DE project for Age 1 as well. But yeah, you were talking about the maps and the civs. Let's take a look at the map pool here. We actually do have the desert map replaced by, well, it still says desert. That's incorrect. It should say Oasis in the top right. I'm pretty sure I fixed that before the stream, but apparently not. Ignore that. It says Oasis. It doesn't say desert. You're reading it wrong. So we have our 7 maps in the pool here. What is your favorite map? What is the standout map to you in this pool?
Oh, good question. To be honest, I'm a fan of, let's say in this case, Hideout. My personal favorite is actually Hideout, just to be honest with you, for given reasons, because you know, it reminds you of Arena, but it's somehow still different, due to the fact that each of the players are quite close to each other, be it opponent or teammate. Still, there's a possibility of having a long type of matchup due to the fact you got Palisades in the beginning, so that's not the biggest, let's say, issue to make it a long game. But just all in all, I think quite an interesting matchup that we have here because of the positions, and still with the chance of having at least a Castle Age, maybe even an Imperial Age type of game. Something I want to see in team games for sure. But the others are also quite nice. What about you, Zach? You got any favorite here?
Yeah, Hideout's awesome. We actually saw in the 1v1 stage an epic Hideout game with the Britons versus Byzantines in the grand final, Tato backed. That was awesome. Lasted like an hour. It was a really nice game. All the gold was gone, and yeah, it was cool. But I like Sunburn, to be honest. We've not seen a lot of it. We saw it a couple of times in the 1v1 stage. Really enjoyed it, but I want to see that in the 3v3 stage, because that's when the Sunburn map is going to shine, I think, especially since the players spawn in a line behind each other. It just adds a completely different dynamic to the way that the game is played.
I mean, you're right with this one. And Sunburn, I've had a look on this kind of map, but do you really think that there's a possibility to see this map here? I mean, it's part of the pool, right? But don't you think it's quite of a risky thing in a 3v3?
It depends on the team, I think. You know, most teams are going to probably try and play it safe, and I imagine Sunburn will be banned in the first round.
Right.
But when we get to the semi-final and the finals, which are best of 5, only 2 maps will not be played, and so there's a much higher chance of Sunburn showing up. Let's take a quick look at the bracket, actually, just so everyone can see where the teams are positioned there. We have Brazucas and SY, Frantic and Heresy on the top side, so the semis will be 2 of those teams. And then on the bottom we have AM, Vietnam Legends, Suomi and Secret, and then 2 of those teams will be on the bottom side in the semis. Once again, worth noting, AM and Secret will both be on the same side of the bracket, so if both of those teams do go forward, they will face each other in the semis. And for Secret, well, for Aftermath, sorry, that could be an issue since they are struggling for points at the moment.
Right. Well, interesting setup there. But personally, I'm really looking forward to seeing Bazookas versus SY. I don't know why, but there's some kind of hype behind that, I assume. You got any nice matchup in your opinion already in round number 1?
I think AM Vietnam Legends will be nice because Backed and VNA are putting in some really good games at the moment. I think it could be a challenge for AM. We're going to see that later on today, of course. If we go back to the schedule, that's actually our third match. It is our third match of the day. But yeah, before we get to that, let's take a quick look at some team stats. We have BZK versus SY starting the day here, and we can see some team stats for these teams. Obviously, SY with a few more games played since they have been getting further into these rounds. And they also have a very solid record of 21 wins and 18 losses compared to BZK's 11 wins, 17 losses.
Yeah, that's, in my opinion, quite interesting to see, because I personally, if I just look at the names, I would say, well, Bazooka's got some nice players that are into some team games. So quite interesting to see that they only got this, the proportion of 11 to 17. 21 to 18 looks definitely better, that's for sure. And we're going to see. Maybe we're going to see something really interesting, maybe something surprising, because according to the stats, SY has a technical advantage, let's say.
Yeah, SY definitely playing better so far in the tournament. BZK surprisingly not doing so great. I don't know if that's because they're playing without Jagao or, I don't know what it is, because in Nations Cup, let's remember, Nations Cup, BZK, well, not BZK, but Brazil A, won. Was it Brazil A or was it even Brazil B? I think it was Brazil B. They won the Nations Cup. So they had a solid team capable of winning the biggest team game event, basically, and they put up a great performance, but they seem to be struggling a little bit in the ECL. So we will see how that develops. Of course, first of all, though, let's take a look at the maps for this best of three. We've got Bedouins, followed by Dry River, and followed by Mediterranean, and we're going to get things going in just a moment here. I'll give the indication to Robo to start, and we'll jump into Bedouins straight away. We'll talk about the map once we get into the game. I know a lot of people want to see the action.
All right.
Good stuff. So we're starting right now. The civs are available to see on the escape.gg website. The civ pool is up there. And each team has to pick 2 civs from the civ pool for every game that they play. The third civ can be completely up to them, as long as they do not repeat any of the civs during their series. So here we go, into game number 1. And I'm hoping that my game doesn't crash, because I've had some issues, but it looks like Demi's red. We are in, and we are ready to go with BZK versus SY. Game number 1 here for the Escape Champions League Middle East quarterfinals.
Exactly. So what's up, everyone? Demi's red here. I'm joined by Zach, and we are about to see a nice matchup here for sure. And that said, let me just try to spot every player and his initial TC placement, because that's always a bit difficult on Nobad type of maps. But I can already point out that we got Riyadh, Fire, Migazin versus Lix, Yo, and Shuainu. And that said, let me just start with Riyadh, because I see his TC placement the first year. On the right-hand side, he has chosen, not a big surprise in my opinion, the Chinese. And yeah, his placement on the right-hand side, purple color that he has. His teammate Miguel Zin in the south of the map is there with the Persians. And on the left-hand side, still on the south, it is a Fire with the Britons. So yeah, both of the players, all 3 of the players, but are quite to the south, even though Riyadh being on the right-hand side, quite close to the center of the map. Quite interesting for sure. What about the others, Zach? Any placement there that you saw about it?
Yeah, I was going to talk about Riyadh quickly as well. You know, you touched on it yourself. He is to the right, but he's also very close to the center of the map. And on this map, I think that's a dangerous position to be in, because look at where the wood lines are. They're all around the edge. The reliable, thick wood lines are around the edge. And you've got these little wood lines in the middle, which, you can use these, but they're much harder to defend, and they're much harder to... sorry, my second monitor just went off, which was a bit surprising to me, but it's back now. They're harder to defend, and they're not very reliable, easier to get raided, all this stuff. So this position for him, I'm not a big fan, but as you said, he's the Chinese. He's going to get off to a great start, and you're expecting that Chinese player to be able to not necessarily carry the team, but have a solid start to the game. But yeah, hopping over to the SY side, we've got Shuainu in the north. He's playing as the Chinese as well, so both of the Chinese players will be over to the right side. And then you've got Lix up to the northwest in the green. He's taken the Persians. And then in the, well, just to the south of him, a little bit closer to the middle, also on the left, it's the one and only Mr. Yo. He's playing as the Ethiopians over here. So we have a little bit of a difference in civs. We've got Ethiopians for Yo, but we have Britons for Fire. And those two are going to be quite close together, actually, the teal and yellow player here.
Yeah, that's for sure. Something really interesting that you've pointed out, right? So we got the similarities between Riyadh and Shuanyu having chosen the Chinese, and then Miguel Zin and Lix with the Persians. In my opinion, not much of a surprise, especially with the Chinese, because as you've said it, they have the nicest start, starting with more villagers, and the Persians also with the extra amount of resources, also something to consider in the beginning of nomad type of matchups, that's for sure. But also Britons and Ethiopians, not that much. I mean, of course, they got some differences if you look at the CIS properly, but still, I can see why they've maybe chosen these civilizations. But we'll see about this one because you've pointed already out. That is something to consider. Fire and Yo quite close together, not too close, but still something that has potential in a kind of way that something could happen quite fast. I mean, on a map like this, fast-paced action is an option, definitely an option, because you got, for instance, Riyadh, who is quite close to the center. I mean, he just asked for being raided or being involved in a situation in which some feudal action is maybe relevant. We'll see about that one. But also quite interesting, Miguel Zin, for instance, being the pocket in this case, not too far away from the center as well, but still he still has a decent position in my opinion, as well as Shuai New in the north. Let's see about this one, to be honest. But because Yo being the pocket, actually, I'm not sure if that's a nice position for him. We'll see.
Yeah, he's kind of forward. I guess like Lix might even play more of the pocket here since he's the Persians. I think the Ethiopians and the Britons have both been added to round out the team because they are both capable of doing pretty fast imperial times and able to take advantage of a power spike that comes from their archers. And on this map, I think having, in the case of the Britons, long-range archers to pick villagers from the back of these exposed wood lines, or in the Ethiopians' case, having the faster firing archers to raid with the crossbow. I think that's really valuable to have. But talking about the positions real quick before the feudal ages come in, you got to look at this. It's twofold, right? Riyadh is exposed in the middle of the map, but at the same time, he also has a lot of map behind him to expand into. And if you look at the positioning of these two teams, it's almost like SY have only just the top corner of the map, while BZK may have the potential to essentially get almost 3/4 of the map here in the south, the west, and the east, looking at where they've placed their TCs. The question is, can they secure it? Can they wall it up? And if not, will that come to bite them later on as they get raided?
Yeah, that's true indeed. I mean, there's a chance to get that kind of dominance on the map, but also, like you've mentioned, if green and teal just team up and take that fight against fire, all of a sudden things could look different, but that's always easier said than done. We're looking forward to seeing what each of the players are going to go for. Lix on the way to Fuel Age, and Miguel Zin already in Fuel Age, so that's an indication that probably they want to go for some faster-paced action. Let's have a look at this one.
Yeah, Miguel throwing down a stable right now. We're going to see him making some scouts, I would presume. It's very easy to do a super fast castle on this map because obviously the shorefish provide that food so quickly. And I saw a question in the chat earlier, why is Fire, the Briton player, not taking the sheep as much? Well, the answer to that is because the shorefish are still faster, even with the Briton bonus. So he is going to be shorefishing away, and he's going up to the feudal age much later in his team. Like I said, he wants to get those Briton crossbow out with the additional range, while Miguel, the Persian player here, will be going for some scouts to put on some initial pressure.
Yeah, it's true indeed. He's already pumping out a couple of scouts there. Question is, where does he want to go to? Probably, I mean, he's currently placed his flag to the right-hand side, top right-hand side of the stable. So maybe an indication that he maybe wants to go for Shuainu. Yeah, probably, because I see some flaring by Riyadh as well. So he might want to go there to attack him, because from that point of view, would be then exposed to some attacks, that's for sure, as Yo and Lix are to the left-hand side. Let's see about this one. Also worth pointing out that Lix has already walled himself up in a way that he's not attackable from the south anymore, as the wall continues even to the TC of Yo.
Yeah, and that's something that the SSY team will be able to do a little bit easier. They will be able to wall themselves easier, but not easy enough because up in the north, Schweinu is being raided by those 2 scouts, and they're coming in very quickly. He is actually going up to the castle age right now while making a couple of scouts and spears of his own. So far, losing his own scout, but not losing any villagers yet. And it's going to be SY's prerogative here to make sure they do not lose any villagers to these scouts of Miguel. But I like this because Schweinu is able to defend with a stable and some spears and actually get himself up to the castle age pretty quickly as well right here. I think SY are in a very solid position with both Schweinu and Yo going up to the castle age already.
Yeah, true indeed. I mean, you said it. He's produced a spearman, still his castle age quite impressive. And let's see how... Yeah,
sorry, I've just seen something huge in the south. Lix killed a villager under the TC of Fire there, but he's also denying the blacksmith. So Fire's not able to go straight up to the castle age. He's actually delayed while that blacksmith is incomplete.
That's extremely important. The impact on that one, as you see, the blacksmith is still not up just now. And yeah, he's going to have a delay on his castle age. Quite important in this case. Because we got to point out that the other players are already on their way to castle age. And let's see, the scouts also, because I'm just looking forward to seeing what is happening up then in northwest, that is. The woodland may be attacked now by Migazan. It is certainly happening. There we go. Lix doesn't seem to have expected this one, as he's losing 2 villagers now.
Yeah, and at the same time, there was a little bit of raiding coming in from Lix onto Miguel's woodline, so these players both trading blows. But it looks like Miguel will certainly come on top, and I want to just say right now how fantastic of a player Miguel is. In the Nations Cup, I don't want to say he carried his team to victory, but he pulled his weight every single game. Miguel is showing up and putting in a solid performance. At the moment, though, he's losing a villager in his own fishing line, I guess you could say. Is it a fishing line? Is it a wood line? I don't know. But, his eco's getting messy. Look at these villagers idling at the wood line. He's not sent them back to work properly, and as a result, they're all standing around doing nothing, costing him a lot of resources right here.
That's for sure. A lot of idle time, a lot of resource loss. At the same time, though, he manages to keep his scouts alive, which is also something to consider. At least he can keep the pressure up inside of the base of the other players. But now he's going to lose the impact of his scouts, because as we can see, Yo is in castle edge, now has his set of crossbowmen, getting botgun arrow now. He's able to go forward. It seems that he maybe wants to go inside of Miguel's base. And then, as we can see, as he's quite exposed there could be some danger zone.
Yeah, highway to the danger zone here as SY start to look very, very good with the crossbow coming into Miguel. And the issue here for BZK is the walling. They have no forward walls. And you look at SY in comparison and they're pretty walled up. It's pretty hard for BZK to get in there, aside from between Yo and Schweinu. The left side is closed up, and that's just going to make it harder to raid, harder to do damage. And meanwhile, Miguel is just taking this to the face.
Yeah, that's true indeed. Just a couple of crossbowmen are able to idle the majority of his whole base there, making it really tough for Migazan to click up. He's just clicked up now. That's really bad, of course. Just with a set of scouts, he won't be able to... Probably he's going to be able to defend himself for now, but he's been put behind so much that it's quite difficult for him to come back from this one.
Yeah, Caster's curse, right? I say Miguel's always pulling his weight. He's always playing well, and... well, he's struggling now as the crossbow is sitting on his woodline here, but he has the support of fire. The question is, has he done enough damage with his scouts earlier on? At the moment, things not looking good for BZK, as the map control is well in favor of SY right now, and I don't see any counter-aggression going on. Basically, BZK are just dealing with the aggression from SY in their own bases, while Riot seems to be focusing on a pretty big boom and some camels, but not sending anything aggressive. And in fact, now he's going to have to be reacting to Schweinu's knights, which are starting to come in as well.
Yeah, true indeed. Schweinu's knights, they're on the way. Currently without any upgrades though. No bloodlines, no +1 defense or something. But that's still enough to take care of a couple of crossbows, interestingly. And that said, also, Riot, as you've mentioned, he's just up there with a set of camels, as well as a couple of monks, just in case defensively, I guess. Interesting stuff for now. But yeah, the question is, are the Bazookas guys able to come back from this one? As you've said, the stability of the Chinese players is quite something to consider. And let's see how successful they're going to be. Also worth mentioning, Schweinu currently getting a lot of stone. So probably a castle or two going to go up. We'll see about this one.
Yeah, and I'm just liking SY's position right now. They're grouping together. They're going straight down the middle, or at least they were, with all three of their players. We've got Knights from the Persian player Lix with +2 defense. We had the Knights coming out from Schweinu. No upgrades, but they are on the field. And then we've got Mr. Yo with his +2 crossbow. And they seem to be doing a good job of continuing to push through the middle, abuse the fact that Miguel is... struggling at this point to stabilize. And then as a result, we've got Riot making defensive camels, and we've got Fire sending all of his army to Miguel to try and defend. All of the action is inside of BZK's side of the map, and that is not a good position to be in for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, look at the stats even. The villager count for Miguel Zin, 30, only 30, versus Schweinu, for instance, 58. So that's some difference there for sure. Maybe also an explanation why Schweinu didn't get the upgrades for his knights yet. Probably he got some now. We'll see about this one in a second. But yeah, certainly something bad. Miguel Zin, is he able to be relevant in this game for now? He's been able to get the siege workshop up, quite important. That was delayed though, but now he could defend himself against any incoming crossbows, that is. But once we see some cavalry, of course the Mangonel's in danger.
Yeah, and I just think that the boom for SY now is going to be much, much better, and we're going to start seeing what I predict would be Cavalier and Arbalest on the field for SY much sooner than BZK. This is a problem unless they can actually deal with SY properly and take some good trades in the back. The Mangonel will help, and the Greater Army of Fire will certainly help here as Mr. Yo gets picked off in the back. But BZK now still getting raided on the front. Look at Fire. His whole army is in the south, and then he's getting raided in his own base with nothing to defend.
Right, there's always the difficulty. If you are the crossbowman player in this case, and that is Fire, indeed, he's going to suffer from the fact that he's not mobile in this case and cannot just reach any other point of the map easily. And there you say it's the enemies are inside of his base. A lot of villagers are getting killed really easily by both Yo and Lix. It's just too easy for them at the moment to slow down each of the players if they just double them in this case. A lot of villagers dying for Fire. This is incredibly bad for them.
Yeah, and we said already the boom for SY is looking better. I mean, look at that villager count right here. Across the board, they are behind. You've got 72 for Riot, which is the most on the team, but the other Chinese player, Schweinu, he's up to 90 already. So BZK are getting out-ecoed at the moment, and they're also getting, outplayed, I'd say as well. It's looking pretty rough for them at the moment, and the Imperial Age upgrades are going to start coming in very soon. And if BZK can't stabilize before the Imperial Age upgrades come through, they are in big trouble here.
Yeah, that's for sure. What I also find quite interesting, Schweinu's position of the castle. He just places it down in front of the base of Riot. So interesting approach. First of all, he just wants to protect the gold that he has in order to have good income of resources. But he's also producing Chukunus. Maybe an indication that he wants to go forward inside of Riot's base, because so far I seem that he remained quite unharmed, the player with most of the villagers inside of his team. And yeah, he is... Speaking of Riot, still, he has a decent amount of knights, that is, with bloodlines and +2 defense. But is he going to be able to have an impact now? An impact that will slow down the Chinese players? That's the question. Currently now, he wants to go to the left-hand side, probably defending just Fire here, because he's still in a really tough position.
Well, the big problem right now for BZK is that instead of Riot, who's got the biggest economy, going up to the Imperial Age and transitioning nicely, he's actually now pumping out Knights, which is going to slow his Imperial time down. It's absolutely necessary to make these Knights because, as I say before, BZK need to clear out the military that's just, all over them at the moment. Lix is doing so much work here on the left side with these knights, and we have the battering ram coming through as well. The help of Mr. Yo there, essentially 2v1ing Fire because Miguel can't support him. He was taken out of the game quite early on, and now Riot from the other flank comes over with the knights, while his flank, Schweinu, nearly in the Imperial Age and ready to launch his attack as soon as he gets up.
I mean, now that you've mentioned, this looks quite of an impressive move there. And when I say they, I refer to the SY players. They shift the focus So they're just baiting the Brazucas player to go to one side, and then they're able to attack from the other side. And the other side, in this case, Schweinu on the right-hand side, placing a second castle. And on the way to Imperial Age, this is going to be huge. Riot is going to face something extremely bad in a few seconds or minutes.
And look at Riot's point of view as well. It's darkness out there. He sees nothing. Now he sees the castle. He sees the Chukonu. His own castle's going up in defense. The Schweinu drops another castle on the right side TC. Again, denying more gold and stone. And okay, Schweinu mismicroing there a little bit, taking some damage from that castle. But he's imp. We'll see Trebs coming out. And Riot's castle, which he just built, is immediately going to go down. And he will not hold on this right side for some time. He's nowhere, well, I say he's nowhere near to the Imperial Age. He hasn't clicked up yet. It's still going to take him 2.5 minutes to get up, and that is going to cost him. So his army's on the left side. He was baited out there, and now he's got to do damage with those knights and simultaneously defend at home, and that's going to be really tough.
Yeah, that's going to be tough for sure, because is he going to get adequate help from his mates? Speaking of Riot here, Miguel Zin, Fire, are they going to be able to do something? Because Fire, as you can see, 60 villagers only, 15 military, it doesn't look too good just with the set of crossbowman with botgun arrow. And now he's going to participate in the matchup here in the fight in the to left-hand side towards the center. A couple of knights fighting each other as well as the crossbows, but it seems that SY has the upper hand due to numbers, especially the crossbowmen of Yo look quite nice here. And yeah, it's going to be tough for sure, to say the least. The third castle of Schweinu up already. You see a lot of traps already trapping down the castle of Riot. It's just a matter of time until Riot will face the fact. And it's GG there. There we go. I was going to say.
Yep, that was a really quick game and a dominant game from SY as well. They just outplayed BZK every step of the way. I don't want to put the blame onto Miguel there, because I think he did a good job with his scouts, but they weren't able to wall up, and I wonder how much of that was due to their starting positions. You know, they were quite far apart. They were very spaced. Walling would have been a really tough task, and had they been walled, they would not have been raided quite as badly as they were. They may have been able to buy time and hold on, and, you know, stall SY in order to mount a defense. But SY were just leading the dance, as Killer B would say, and BZK were just chasing them down the whole game. They never managed to stabilize. They never managed to get the upper hand and, you know, take their initiatives themselves. And as a result, SY just snowballed that one out of control.
You say it. I mean, that's something we've spotted in the beginning, right? So you got the little amount of map that the SY players had, and in comparison to that one, the big map actually of the Brazucas. But all in all, we saw how the SY team was able to actually toggle themselves up in a way that they stayed quite compact, and in the defensive stance, it seemed like it, but it was all on purpose, it seemed. I mean, they were always a step ahead. Just it started to be like this in the mid game in the Castle Age. It started to be just really a lot of mind games that is shifting the focus to the left and then to the right, and always creating gaps, and then finally attacking and slowing down each of the players, which resulted in their win ultimately.
And the thing is here, if BZK managed to hold on, if BZK were able to keep it together, having the larger map would have been beneficial. They would have had more gold in the back. They would have had more space to boom up. You know, having 3/4 of the map is considered a good thing, but it only works in your favor if you can control it. And it's only possible to control that much map in the post-Imperial Age when you've got walls, and BZK never got to that stage. So that sort of long-term maybe approach ends up losing them the game potentially before they could actually reach their goal of locking down the map. So game one was pretty quick, a very short first game. SY extremely dominant, and this is a best of 3. So if SY are able to take the next game, they will end up taking the series. So it's all to play for in game number 2. We'll take a quick look here at the stats, having a look who did the most, who had the biggest impact. Well, Lix with 64 kills and 32 deaths looks pretty impressive right there, using those knights to bully Fire essentially with his 22 kills and 61 deaths. His crossbows just couldn't mass them up in the face of Lix's knights.
Yeah, true indeed. It looks quite obvious from these kind of stats. Lix being so effective there. You see how Fire got most of the losses, quite an indication there. In the mid game, he just started to lose. At first, I thought, okay, it's going to be Miguel Zin, the victim, pretty much in this game, but no, it's all shifted because all of a sudden they created this gap and went for Fire and was super effective in that concern. Lick's certainly extremely impressive, I gotta say. For sure.
Lix played well. Schweinu didn't have the most impressive KD, but economy-wise, he had the bigger eco, and it would have very quickly gone to him had the game gone much longer, and he'd gutted out the right side of the of Riot's base. So there you have it. Game number 1, pretty quick win for the SY guys. And game 2 will be Dry River, a map which I also really like, actually. It's a very good map, very interesting map. We'll take a look at that in more detail in just a moment. Let me first check out some more subs in the chat. We're doing this quite regularly, but we appreciate you guys being here. And to say thank you for being here, and to say thank you for being involved in our community, have some subs on us.
Yeah, well said, well said. There we go.
And there you go. And there is a lot of very, very, very awesome stuff on the way. And I'm not going to tell you about it, but I'm going to start hyping it because next year there's going to be some amazing things happening on this channel and with Escape. And you guys better hold on to your seats because it's going to blow you away. But anyway, we will be going into game 2 in just a second. Let's tell Robo to start the game already, and we'll get in there.
All right, perfect.
People doing a sub check. sub check. 1 2 1 2. Did I get one? Oh no, maybe next time, man.
Next time, indeed.
All right. Here we go. Next game on the way.
There we are. Okay, I'm in. What about you?
I'm in. Welcome, everyone. Game 2 of BZK versus SY. After a very, very dominant performance in Game 1 by SY, BZK here looking to bring it back since this is a best of 3. And if BZK can't bring it back, well, they're out. Don't score any points, don't win any money, and SY go to the semi-finals. So very important game for BZK. The map here is going to be Dry River, a little bit of a different map to the last one, but it still has the theme of shore fishing. What do you think about that?
Exactly. The shore fishing, quite important. So that's actually something quite interesting. We got the comparison there quite nicely there between Bedouins and Dry River because of the shore fishing. And in both of the cases, you would say, all right, Indians might be quite of a good choice outside of the Civ pool. But with Bedouins, we had the Chinese because of their bigger advantage due to the numbers of villagers and so on. But Indians, in this case, on Dry River, perfect choice, just to make sure that you profit a lot from the fact that you have so much shore fish to go for in the middle of the map. So that's fully understandable. As you can see, all of the players, I guess most of them, yeah, not all of them, there's just an exception, but most of the players are going forward to the middle in order to get their hands on the shore fish. And therefore, we can expect some nice boost, some fast up times, maybe also some fast aggression. We're going to see about this one. But let me just point out the position of the players real quick. So on the top left-hand side, we got the players of the BZK team. Riyadh is the flank, so to speak. Fire is the other flank to the right-hand side. Worth mentioning, Riyadh with the Indians and Fire with the Ethiopians. Finally, Miguel Zin with the Huns is the pocket, so to speak. Always a lovely sight to see him there. And on the other side, just quickly pointing out, Schweinu with the Huns on the, let's say, the bottom flank there with the Huns. Then we got the top flank Licks with the Britons. And finally, the pocket of the SY players is Yo with the Indians.
Yeah, and in this map, I mean, you say that, you know, the pocket S for Yo and the pocket Miguel. I feel like this map, the pocket players aren't really true pocket players because every player is equally distant from their opponent. So you look at Lix, he's an equal distance to Fire as Yo is to Miguel, as Schweinu is to Riot. So that means that this map has a lot more aggression and obviously a lot of shore fishing going on. Means that there's a lot more temptation, I suppose, to be very aggressive in the center of the map and raid all of these ponds, which everybody is going to be exposed in taking. So We'll see what strats these teams go for. I just wanted to point out as well, we actually have the teams swapping the Ethiopians and Britons. Last time it was BZK playing with the Britons. This time it's the SY team taking the Britons and BZK taking the Ethiopians. And yeah, so that's just a key difference there. But the civs are basically the same with the exception of the Britons and Ethiopians swap.
Right. Speaking of the Britons here, Lix is getting all the goats here in this case. Makes sense, but also at the same time still getting his hands on the shorefish. But quite a nice view. It seems that all of the other players have given their goats just to Lix for him to profit from that one.
That's nice.
That's good.
Yeah, that's
well
really
done for
nice.
sure.
Well, you see Shriner has a couple of goats, but you look at Yo, he
Alright.
sent all of them over there, and that's a good indication of team play. You know, that's nice team play right there. And although the shorefish gather extremely quickly, the reason he's probably taking the goats here is because you don't have to build a second mill to gather more shorefish. The goats, you gather them, they gather quickly, and the difference is not so great in actual food collection. So we are going to see the fuelage coming in for Riot extremely quickly here. Indians, of course, cheaper vills, going up on 19 population, 18 villagers, and will likely be going into scouts, I can imagine, as the rush distance is a little bit larger in the 3v3 version of this map compared to the 1v1.
Exactly. So I think it's definitely going to be scouts from Riot. A good thing, because then he's going to be able to rate the others in the middle of the map, making sure that their shorefish food income is heavily decreased, ideally speaking, of course. Let's see how successful he's going to be. At the same time, all of the players are also going to go for the fuel edge quite fast, Riot being the fastest. All right. So what about Shuainu being the second here? He has the Huns, and currently I don't see too much from him as in barracks wise or something like that, but he has 3 villages on gold, interestingly, so that's something to keep in mind. Probably not going to see scouts from him, at least by looks of it. The others are also on their way, Lix and Fire being the latest, interestingly, so we can maybe expect them to go for, not for some feudal aggression, maybe, we're going to see, but I'm looking forward to seeing some heavy aggression in the field edge from Riot and Miguel Zin, that is. He's placed his barracks as well.
Yeah, I think both of the archer civs here going up a little later. I don't know if they will fast castle. I don't know if they will go. It looks like they'll just go into archers, but a fast castle is possible with the shorefish. It's always a little bit different with the timings when you are shore fishing because it speeds things up so much. When you see people going up to the castle age super quickly, you're like, whoa, that doesn't feel right. But yeah, so we see Riot making the first scout right now. He's sending that across. We're going to see scouts coming out from Miguel as well. And in the on the left side, you've got Shrinu playing the wall and boom style here. A lot of walls coming up, no barracks, no stable, just a lot of palisades, a market, and it looks like he wants to fast castle, but I don't know if he'll be able to pull that off. Maybe it's a sling in that case.
Yeah, we're gonna see what kind of strat he wants to go for, but the walling, quite of a brave one, to be honest, as this will require a lot of villager dedication, first of all, but I can see it. Shuainu paid 159 gold, 167 food tribute to Yo, so slinging happening here as he's placed his markets. Well, there you go.
Yeah, slinging heavily nerfed in the ECL as we changed the rules about the sling tax. And on the other side, oh my goodness, look at this. Double stables from Miguel. Wow. I love this. BZK ramping up the pressure to 11 right now. And SY, meanwhile, taking the wall and sling approach. It's a completely different approach from both teams. Both of the archer civs in the north will be just going into archers, while BZK are going to be making so many scouts. They will block out the sun.
Yeah, exactly. Really, there you see the first contact here. Yo is being raided. We see scouts from Miguel Zin and also from Riot. They're successfully pushing the villagers away. So that's at least a successful move from the BZK team for now. Let's see how successful they're going to be. But to be honest, I'm always scared of slinging here. Even though it's being nerfed for given reasons, it can always turn out to be a dangerous move. Though we got to say, the scouts have done some real nice work there. And also now Lick's part of the mix with his archers. Let's see if he's able to defend his mate there.
No. is the short answer to that. Too many scouts. They are going to die. But meanwhile, you know, Yo here, he's lost all the shorefish. This is a costly loss for him because he's going to need that food. As we said, he is being slung, but Schweine, how is he going to move out to more shorefish? He won't. He won't be able to go out of his walls to start fishing in the middle because that's going to put his villagers at risk. And BZK, like a complete turnaround from last game, they're now all over SY, but Mr. Yo is in the Castle Age. Mr. Yo can start making some camels to counter these scouts and start pushing this one back. So the slink could work if these camels can now do damage, but look at Riot. He's not far behind, and as far as I can see, Riot may not have received any sling, although I take that back because it looks like Miguel just starting to sling Riot now as well.
Yeah, this could have some real huge impact on that one for sure. If Riot gets some additional help, then he's going to be able to pump out more camels. He has 3 stables. He's about to have 3 stables in the end. So that's something to consider. Yo currently just with 2 by the looks of it. And even adding a second TC, interestingly. Okay, so let's see about this one. For now, we can say that the scouts will lose their impact as the camels are out now, at least on paper. And yeah, it's going to be the comparison who is going to be more effective. For now, though, Yo is up faster, and he's on his way to Miguel's in space. Or is he? We'll see where he goes with his set of camels. Currently, he has bloodlines and plus 1 defense. There we go.
There are a few spears in defense for Miguel, but there's archers here from Lix as well, making it nearly impossible for the spearmen to be effective. And it looks like the shoe is now on the other foot as Miguel will run back to his TC, pushed off of his shorefish there on the front, losing some villagers as well. And they're going to group up with the camels of Riot, the scouts of Miguel. They're going to do what they can to push this back. This could be a good fight. They've got the defender's advantage. You said it before. Riot does have more stables than Yo, so the camel numbers should start to equalize. And we'll see how this engagement goes. Miguel, not like this! No! What are you doing?
Wasting all of the scouts like this. Well, for the sake of having a meat shield, question mark, I don't know if it's really on purpose that what he did. But now also the archers are up that far. He does his best, but he still has archers, no crossbows, because he's not on the... I mean, he is on the way to Castle Age, but he is still far away. So all in all, looks like a mess, to be honest. Everything is happening so fast here, but it seems that Riot is able to keep them away. I'm not sure about looks of it.
Yeah, no, I think this is good. I think SY will lose this fight here because the reinforcements are coming in 3 by 3. All of the archers from Lix will die. Everything. BZK mounting a fantastic defense. And that's super important because Mr. Yo was hoping his faster castle time would swing the momentum in their favor, and now it's failed. And this is a big problem because Lix just lost all of his archers. Meanwhile, Fire, faster to the Castle Age, will already have a lot of archers on the field. 18. He's got the largest military, didn't lose anything, and they're going to be crossbow in a second, which, by the way, are great at killing camels. So this is a really good position for BZK now as they push it back. Quite back and forth so far in the early stages of this game.
Interesting gamble by Yo. He thought that he would have more impact, but maybe he underestimated the fact that Riot would reinforce faster as he got his stables closer, and we see the result now. But Yo, at least, as I've pointed out, has put up a couple of TCs just for the sake of rather safe zones close to the shorefish, that is, and this will make it a bit more of a tough thing for Riot and Fire to go through. So they found a way to the right, let's say to the right hand side of Yo's base, and they're coming closer now. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how Lix wants to actually help out here. He's now in Castle Age, but he's going to need a few more seconds or a minute or two just in order to have his crossbowman with the upgrade of Bodkin Arrow, that is. Let's see.
So it's essentially like a 2v2 right now with the sling coming in. Schweine with the stone walls. He's completely, well, stone walled across the front at least. But like I say, the shorefish are now inaccessible to him. So he's going to be farming, which is going to be slower. And meanwhile, you have Riot, Miguel, and Fire all taking the shorefish. So the food income for BZK should be a little better, which should allow them to get more techs and have a better boom. villager-wise at the moment, it looks like they're slightly behind BZK, but they are ahead in military here by quite a lot as they start to fight on the front. Kind of bad engagement for Riot so far. They need to group up, take the fight, and avoid the hills, which SY are utilizing here near to their base.
Exactly. But now we have the clash here. All of a sudden, we had the major engagement here. Looks quite interesting. What I like is that Lix is able to just attack without being harmed. We cannot say the same about Fire here. And all in all, looks quite good, I guess, for the SY team. Always hard to spot, even though the camels now killing each other. Still, it looks like SY makes the better move here because we see how Fire is retreating now. The camels are being taken care of. Looks good. Now they have a momentum to go forward.
Yeah, and that momentum swing going right back into SY's favor. It's interesting because on the military count, BZK again had had more military than SY, but they lost the fight because, hey, that defender's advantage, the reinforcements coming in, definitely helping out. Upgrade-wise, they were the same, but I do notice Mr. Yo has +2 attack now, and I don't know if that came in during the fight, but that could have had a pretty big impact as well. So BZK backing up, and they're going to try and take the next engagement close to their side of the map and take their defender's advantage to get a win. SY, of course, looking to break them here as they continue to push forward. And, well, Riot's army's kind of split. He needs to get them together as SY go down the middle at the moment.
Yeah, true indeed. What also needs to happen from the point of view of the BZK team is Fire's positioning here with the crossbowman. He has a large army, that is for sure, but he needs to have them in a good position to engage properly to help out Reed here. Otherwise, Reed could lose once again, and that would be really bad for them, obviously. But by the looks of it, they managed well. They're together now, speaking of Riot and Fire, going forward, making sure that Yo needs to readjust his positioning as well. They are going to the left-hand side now, both Lix and Yo. Let's see where they're going to go.
Yeah, but I've got to say, the crossbow for Fire should be better now that he has Thumb Ring. Britons do not get Thumb Ring, remember, so they are firing very, very slowly. Look at how slowly these guys fire. And then you compare that to the Ethiopians that get faster firing and Thumb Ring, better accuracy, better DPS. They should be able to do the damage and take the win. But meanwhile, Mr. Yo going up to the Imperial Age now. We'll see if BZK can force the fight while SY are on their side of the map and start to take this back into their favor.
Yeah, true indeed. Yo on the way to MPLH. What about Riot? That's the question. Resource-wise, he's going to click up in a few seconds as well. Yo, once again, could have the little momentum of being on MPLH earlier, in the next stage earlier. Let's see if he's going to make use of that one. Currently, they are in front of the base of Miguelzin.
They've got the hill, though. SY,
yeah.
They have got the hill, and I think BZK are questioning, do we go in here? Do we take the fight uphill? It's a bit risky. But we'll see what they do because it looks like they want to engage it. Look at Fire's crossbow. They fire so much faster. Riot running in now. They're going to take the fight. And I think that BZK will dominate this fight. Absolutely dominate this fight. And clean up. Mr. Yo's bringing camels in from the back. Good job by Fire to move his archers up to the high ground. And they should, as I say, clean this up. Mr. Yo will run back. And all in all, the Imperial Age difference between Yo and Riot is not too significant. Now it's back in BZK's favor. And like I said before, what a crazy back and forth game this has been so far.
Yeah, but this last engagement was so incredible. You've pointed out correctly there. The crossbowmen of the Ethiopians from Fire is just really, really impressive there. They did a lot of good stuff there. And now, once again, they have the momentum to strike back, as you see. And let's see how Yo wants to address the problem that is arising in front of his base. You said it, there's not much of difference in time concerning the Imperial Age. Therefore, Yo will go up with the next upgrade for his camels as soon as possible, but so will Riot. Therefore, in just a few seconds, let's say in half of a minute or so, everything could be once again quite equal concerning the techs that they have. It's also going to be important if the archer player, the crossbow player, in this case Fire and then Lix, are going to step up their game concerning their times as well. Imperial Age incoming for Fire. That's good. Let's see what they're going to do.
Fire getting up faster than Lix, that's important. And you've got to think about this transitioning to the late game. A back and forth game like this generally goes quite late because no team is getting some kind of snowballing effect. As each team strikes back, they get cleaned up. And as a result, let's talk about the late game. Ethiopians versus the Britons, essentially. Ethiopians, in my opinion, have the edge there in the late game just because of the siege. You know, they have one of the best siege, some of the best siege in the games. They obviously have faster firing archers, arbalest. They don't quite have the range of the Britons, but I think overall they could bring a bit more to the table in that late game, especially in a team game.
Yeah, if done correctly, especially in the team game, you're absolutely correct. That is one of the most important aspects of that one. They could profit so much due to their nice tech tree, their access. Now we see the engagement once again here in the middle of the map. A lot of heavy camels as
coming
well
in.
as fire.
Perfect timing. I just love that. I love that. When you see Mr. Yo running into the camels of Riot, and then Riot's camels just suddenly upgrade as they engage, and Yo's like, oh, I gotta get out of here. And he runs away, and he takes loads of losses to the crossbow there as well. Great fight for Riot and Fire, and look at the Imperial camel upgrade. Where is it for Mr. Yo? I don't see it. Why is it not there yet?
Yeah, that's the main question. What does he want to do? Maybe he wants to spend the resources into something else, which I doubt. But we're going to see about this one real quick. Yeah, quite an interesting matchup that we've seen there. The fight was really bad. The misconception there. He gambled in the wrong way. But now he has, and speaking of Yo, he has the Imperial camels now. Let's see. Maybe he's going to be able to go forward, maybe for some raiding. As you can see, he's going inside of the base of Riot here, slowly but steadily approaching. This could be bad for him, economically speaking. And that said, economy-wise, Riot is not as good as Yo. Villager-wise, 80 to 104. This could be really bad for Riot.
Yeah, he's losing out there. The upgrade is in for Riot as well. But he has to chase these camels down. And then it goes back to what we saw in the first game, which was essentially BZK chasing SY. And it looks like it's going that way now as Mr. Yo sends a group of camels north into Fire. Fire's about to finish Arbalest though, so he might be able to deal with these once Arbalest comes in and he sits under the TC. I think those camels will die. But yeah, SY suddenly all over the map, raiding everywhere with Mr. Yo. Scary stuff for BZK.
Yeah, definitely scary for sure. BZK on the other side, speaking of Fire, that is, going in front of the base of Shuainu, expecting to go inside somewhere, but he has walled himself up with stone walls, that is. So he's gonna take a lot of time here from the Arbalists of Fire before they will be able to enter. Maybe, yeah, there we go. Fire even retreats now, goes somewhere else. At the same time, he is being raided, that's a fact. At home, he has a set of Arbalists as well to address the problem, but of course, there's a difference between Imperial camels being fast and Arbalists simply not. That is something to consider. Also in the middle, once again, a little fight is arising, question mark, we'll see. Yep, definitely gonna happen here.
Yeah, the Arbalests are pretty good here, and like I say, Lick's taking so long to get his upgrades in. Should have given BZK an opportunity, but it looks like Mr. Yo taking over the game with his Imperial camels. I don't know if that's because perhaps he's had more sling, and he's just thrown down more stables and started pumping them even faster than Riot, but there's one thing that's undeniable. He has camels in the back of BZK's base, and Riot does not have camels in the back of SY's base.
True indeed, true indeed. This rating is so important because we could have said, right, both of the sides are just simply going for the sling and improving their Indian spare, right? But the difference is Riot has the weaker economy, and on top of this one, they are, and his team that is, are being raided, right? They are being raided, and this is extremely important because, of course, Riot now has a decent set of Imperial camels out, but the question is for how long? If he loses his army, is he able to reinforce as easily as Yo? I doubt this one because Yo has the advantages on his side economically speaking, and now another engagement here in the middle of the map, as you see. A lot of camels by Riot, though.
Oh, this could go well for BZK here. It could, but again, I think I prefer SY's position because the raiding damage is huge. Look at the villager counts right now, and you can see that Fire's down to 53. That's like 20 less than the sling player on the SY team, and Shuainu starting now to wall up their map with stone as he goes up to the castle age, and I think he's just continuing to sling, to be honest. And why not? It's working so well so far.
Right, why not? Why not? It's going so well, and on top of this one now being fully walled, making it quite difficult for BZK to actually go for some counter raiding. Quite impossible for them at this very moment because they're busy defending themselves. And as you've said it, Yo's still inside of the base of Fire. Fire has no choice. He has no possibility to actually do something against this one because his economy, what is this? It's not an economy anymore, unfortunately for him. 39 villagers, that is. 10 villagers, 10 military, and we got the GG. There we go.
Right, wow. There it is. And that just went from being quite a stable back and forth game to almost like a flick of a switch. Mr. Yo gets Imperial and the game's over. That is incredibly impressive from SY
Right.
and unexpected, to be honest. I didn't expect that BZK at the end of the Castle Age, early Imperial Age, having the map control, having the military advantage, to suddenly get absolutely steamrolled by Yo as soon as he hits Imp. And I think that's the power of the sling there, and Mr. Yo capitalizing on it perhaps some more. Miguel, in the end, we'll have to look at the slung resources, the scent resources, but something serious went wrong for BZK there with the fact that they couldn't keep up with Yo. That shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, true indeed. That should have happened. One thing that I've spotted throughout the game was that Yo initially gambled in the wrong way, right? He went up with his camels on Castle Age, thinking that he could have chances in front of the base of Riyadh, and that was Migazin. But all of a sudden, everything changed that so fast because Yo added more TCs earlier. Riyadh went up with his TCs at least 5 or 10 minutes later. Let's say 5 minutes just to be safe. That has an impact, first of all. Also, he couldn't just catch up with the villager numbers. Therefore, he wasn't as strong, just regardless of the sling that both of the players on both sides, I mean, they got it. But the economy was not strong enough. Reinforcement was not as much of a doable thing for Riyadh. Therefore, that was one thing, maybe one decision of Riyadh not having the strong economy that maybe turned out to be the wrong thing.
And let's take a quick look at the stats so we can see the actual, the sling and the resources collected. And look at the difference there of Mr. Yo and Riyadh. These are the key players, right? These are the key players we have to look for. There was an extra 1,700 resources received. 1,000 resources received. That's kind of negligible. But look at the difference in gold, for example. That's
Yeah,
huge.
wow.
Between Riyadh and Yo, the difference in gold is huge.
4K.
That's definitely helping. Riyadh gathered more stone, which is interesting. But then looking at the villager counts as well, Mr. Yo with an extra 11 villagers, roughly, and even more than that, an extra 20 vills, and just keeping that villager count higher throughout the whole game.
No, true indeed. I mean, just in general, the SY players had the stronger amount of villagers, the higher amount that is. And yeah, 4K gold difference, that's extremely important, especially if there's just one or two fights that go not too well for the BZK players. All of a sudden, there's a huge gap, just economically and military-wise speaking, something that adds up and becomes something that you cannot just deal with as easily.
Yeah, and look at that KD for Yo as well. 280 kills, 200 losses. And yes, he has the most losses, but he doesn't have... Look at the difference in the kills. He's got over double the kills of Riyadh, but he doesn't have double the losses. He's only got 50 more. It's a different story altogether there. Much larger army in the end too. Very enjoyable game. And look at the timeline. This is a timeline that I enjoy because normally the timeline isn't that valuable. But this is a nice one because it shows that back and forth. It shows the up and down of gaining the army, losing the army, gaining the army, losing the army, gaining the army, losing the army, and then running away with the game. Really enjoyable game, but again, very dominant from SY as they take a 2-0 victory, and then we'll go to the semi-finals. Brackets haven't been updated, but they will go to the